Hey guys, welcome back to the College Predictor. Today we're going to be going over Saturday, December 23rd, bowl game picks. We're going to start off with the 76 Birmingham Bowl between the Sun Belt champions in Troy, who's had an incredible year. They're currently sitting at 11-2. Meanwhile, Duke, who started the year 4-0, we know they upset Clemson, and then from there it just kind of fell apart. We'll start with Duke. They were amazing until their quarterback, Riley Leonard, got hurt. And the game that really lost them was Notre Dame, where their quarterback, Riley Leonard, he got hurt in like the last 40 seconds of the game, which sucked because you guys had NC State, Florida State, Louisville, and North Carolina the next weeks. And you guys did beat North Carolina State, but that game against Notre Dame is what lost. That's what lost your season. Because I think Duke was a good team before Riley Leonard got hurt. And I think without Riley Leonard, they're not a good team. And now you guys are going to start saying, oh, well, that's just like saying Florida State, they're not a good team without their quarterback. Well, they are, because they actually have a defense, unlike Duke, who's given up 47 points, 30 points again, and 38 points in the last 6 weeks. So there's a difference. But I still think Duke is the better team, even though Troy has a far better record, because it's deceiving record, because Troy, they didn't play anyone. And the two teams they did lose to were Kansas State and James Madison. So those are two good losses, but they didn't beat anyone good besides App State in the championship game. So because of that, I don't like Troy in this game. Even as 7-point favorites, Troy, I don't think they're going to win this game. Give me Duke by 4. Alright, let's go to our next game between a team that I don't think anyone expected to make a bowl game in the beginning of the year. Arkansas State, the Red Wolves, are going to be taking on Northern Illinois out of the MAC. Now, both these teams are 6-6. Most games that have two 6-6 teams aren't the best to watch. And normally the Camellia Bowl is on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, which is weird. But I still think this game could be entertaining just because of how equal these teams are. Arkansas State's previous quarterback went down with an injury earlier in the year. And Jalen Raynor, the freshman, he's been having a great year. He hasn't been the best statistically, but he's done what he's had to keep them running. And 2,300 yards on the dot, 15 touchdowns to 6 picks. That's pretty good for a freshman that had to come off the bench. Meanwhile, Northern Illinois, we know a couple years ago, they dominated the MAC. They won the championship game. Since then, it's kind of been a fall off. Their best win was at Boston College. And I do like Arkansas State in this game because of their quarterback, Jalen Raynor. This is going to be a big test for him. Can he take his Red Wolves to a winning record? I say yes. The Red Wolves, 2.5-point favorite. Give me Arkansas State by 10. Okay, let's go to our next game between the Northwestern Wildcats and the Utah Utes. Now, Utah, if you told me that they were in the Las Vegas Bowl at the beginning of the year, I would have called you, and I just wouldn't have believed you. Their quarterback went down. They still had a good one in Bryson Barnes, but they're sitting at 8-4, and they're in a bowl game on the 23rd. So, not what you want to see from Utah. Their losses were at Oregon State, versus Oregon, at Arizona, and at Washington. Every single one of their losses have been to ranked teams. So that's a great resume for Utah. Meanwhile, Northwestern, on the other hand, they're 7-5, which I didn't expect. I don't like Northwestern at all. But somehow, they're in a great position right now. They lost to Rutgers, at Duke, Penn State, at Nebraska, versus Iowa, and that's it. So, I don't think Northwestern is a good team, though. I think Utah has a lot more talent, a lot better recruits. Although I bet a lot of Utah players aren't playing. Doesn't change a thing. Utah is a 6.5-point favorite. Give me the Utes to win by 17. All right, next game. Famous Idaho Potato Bowl. two blue teams on the blue field. Georgia State, Utah State. I think both these teams have been really quiet this year. Utah State, they lost to Iowa by 10. Maybe that's what got them attention. Statistically, they've been decent. Cooper Legas, remember last year where he had to come in at the LA Bowl, throw a touchdown on his first pass. He's been pretty good, 19 touchdowns to 8 picks. They have used 3 quarterbacks this year, and I think Legas should be the starter going into this game. Their running game hasn't been good, but so they're going to have to pass the ball. They're going to have to air raid against Georgia State's defense. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Georgia State, they're a running team with their very talented running back, Marcus Carroll. He got a shout-out earlier in the year, and he has 1,350 yards and 13 touchdowns. Their quarterback has been solid, too. I think they're going to run a lot of option in this game. Their quarterback is a rusher. He has 8 touchdowns. And that's what you normally see with these small schools. You see a bunch of running quarterbacks, a bunch of running teams. And I think if they can slow the game down, Utah State won't have a chance. Georgia State is a 1.5-point underdog. Give me Georgia State to win by 7. All right, 3 more games to go. We'll go with the South Alabama Jaguars and the Eastern Michigan Eagles. Both these teams are 6-6. However, this game should not be close. Sunbelt versus MAC. I'm taking Sunbelt 9 out of 10 times, and that one time is if Toledo is there. I don't think Miami, Ohio would beat South Alabama. South Alabama, I thought they were a 10-3 caliber team. Like, that was my projection at the beginning of the year for them. And they haven't looked horrible in their games. I mean, statistically, their quarterbacks have been playing good. They've ran the ball good with LaDamian Webb. So if you look at their losses were to solid teams, I think. We look at their loss to Tulane. Everyone expected that. At James Madison, Central Michigan, Louisiana, and at Troy, and at Texas State. So they have good losses. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Eastern Michigan, they've been a solid team. Inconsistent. They lost to Central Michigan. They lost to Western Michigan. So they lost to every team from Michigan in their conference. If they can't prove that they can win rivalry games, then they can't win bowl games. And ESPN gets that. 17-point favorite for South Alabama. Give me South Alabama to win by 20. I don't think this game will be close. By the way, that was the 68 Ventures Bowl. 2 more to go. San Jose State, Coastal Carolina. This was actually the first bowl game that was scheduled this year. So that's a cool fact. Easy Post Hawaii Bowl. This game's going to be late. And it's going to be San Jose State's advantage. They're used to the late games because they're from California. Coastal Carolina is going to feel like they're playing at midnight. However, I think Coastal Carolina should win this game, or should at least go into it feeling good, because they have Grayson McCall. He's a very good quarterback. I say he's one of the best out of non-Power 5 by talent, but not by statistics. He only has 10 touchdowns, 6 picks. He has been hurt a lot this year. Their running game's been horrible. Their leading rusher has 381 yards and 5 touchdowns. Coastal, they're not the same team as they were. San Jose State, about 2 weeks before the regular season ended, I didn't think they were going to make a bowl. They turned it on since then. Since that week, we'll go since week 11, San Jose State has beaten every team they've needed to. Their only loss in that little time span was no one. They went on a huge winning streak after they lost to Boise State, winning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row, including at UNLV. So, what a comeback from San Jose State. They've been the better team statistically, resume, eye test. And because of that, giving the Spartans as a 9-point favorite by 10. And we go to our last game between 11-1 James Madison in their first bowl game versus Air Force, who at the beginning of the year we thought would be the best team playing against Oregon right now. This is James Madison's first year in a bowl since South Carolina lost to Clemson. Even though they had the record to do it, they are not eligible for the Sun Belt Championship because of their new FBS program. Air Force, surprisingly, didn't win the Commander's Chiefs Trophy, and that's not good for them. Their quarterback, Zach Larrier, he's a dual threat, and they run a lot of option like all military schools do. James Madison, on the other hand, I think they're an air raid offense. I mean, it is the Armed Forces Bowl, so I don't like their chances. It is the Armed Forces Bowl. Air Force is a military school. It doesn't look good for them on paper, especially since they didn't play in the conference championship. Neither did Air Force, but James Madison, I feel like they're going to be too comfortable going into this game. This is their first bowl game, like I said. They're going to be too comfortable going into it. I don't think they're going to win. They're not going to be ready for what Air Force brings to them. Yes, Air Force fell apart at the end of the year, but they have the same record as Utah and the same record as Oregon State. And because of that, they are only a 1.5 point underdog against a team that has one loss. And I actually like Air Force in this game better. So I'm going to say in the Armed Forces Bowl, they're going to do the minor upset and win by last-second field goal. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed, stay tuned. I will be predicting every single bowl game this year, including the New Year's Six and the bowl games that have teams that don't even deserve to be in it. So, Merry Christmas, and I'll see you on my next video.